Hello, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas. Today's date, it's July 27th of 2021, and today is the first day of the House Committee meeting on the insurrection that took place on January 6th in Washington, D.C. If you've watched my videos and read my blogs before, before I was doing, well, I did videos forever. If you watched my videos that I made for the 2 weeks, actually, it was more like my daughter made them, because she was videoing when I went to Washington, D.C. I'd never been to the northeast part of the United States. Never been to Washington, D.C., and always wanted to go. I just made it, a few years ago. And I was there for 10 days. And for me, it was, I've always been interested in news, always been interested in politics. Even in grade school, I remember watching hearings when I was in grade school on television. And I went to a military high school that we were military, 5 days a week. We were always in uniform. Every Friday was a, full dress parade, passing in review, the flag flying. And I think every Friday when Sound of the Colors or whatever was played, I got a chill up and down my spine. I went to a military high school. I wanted to be in the military. I couldn't qualify for the military because of my being grossly underweight. But what I always totally forgot about was my hearing was so bad. Really bad. I had hearing problems that started in first grade. And so, there was no way I was ever going to be in the military, but I totally pushed that out of my mind. But, I think I was, I think I was an average American. I think I was a normal American. But now, I just can't, imagine the place that we've arrived at. The United States of America, the Constitution, swearing the oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. I'll put a link to, by the way, my the videos of the 10 or so videos in Washington, D.C. Even a few years ago, I was just absolutely awestruck to be standing in front of the White House, to be walking around the Capitol, the United States Capitol, to be standing on the steps of the Supreme Court. I don't remember the Lincoln Memorial. I don't remember any chills like I got every Friday when I was in high school, when we had our full dress military, parade. Now, of course, we fell in front of the school before the school day started, and of course we were in uniform. I don't think we drew our the color guard did, but I don't think we drew our the color guard used, I think, Springfield rifles. Got something in my eye. I don't remember drawing our M1s. We each had an M1 without a firing pin. But then, of course, every year our entire school, we were ROTC, ROTC on steroids, called a 55C thing. That, I mean, we had more military than a high school that just had an ROTC, class. But we marched in the Veterans Day Parade in downtown Kansas City. 3 years we marched from the school, 500 of us, with the color guard and the band and the whole thing. We marched from the school downtown and then marched in the Veterans Day Parade up, past the World War I Memorial, and then we marched back to school. Now, one year, somebody, I can't imagine that it would be, I think both of ours, I think we had at different times during the 4 years that I was there. Our PMS&T, Professor of Military Science and Tactics, was, a military officer, retired, I believe. They were both retired. Well, different. And then there was a sergeant that was assigned to the school, and he may have been active duty. He might have been retired also. But both of the officers were in the Bataan Death March. But I can't believe that the 1 year the Christian Brothers, I guess, made the decision that instead of marching from the school down for the Veterans Day Parade, that we could take our M1s home with us and then just, go by public bus or whatever, or your mom or dad could take you or whatever, or you could maybe I never had a car when I was in high school. I guess some of them had cars, but as I left the school that day when we were taking our M1s home, I had to ride the public bus. The Vine Street bus. I was the only white person. I'm not sure about the driver, but for those 4 years I don't know if you know the song about Kansas City. I'm going to 18th and Vine, buy me a bottle of, I don't know, wine or something like that. So the bus I took, I think it was a Vine Street bus that took me home and took me to school. Our school didn't even have a school bus. I guess when they needed one, they rented it or something. Maybe one of the other Catholic high schools let them use it or something. But we didn't. I never. But we. We took our M1s. Well, anyway, I got on the bus to go home, and I wasn't pointing. I didn't have a firing pin, but it was a real M1. I didn't point it at anybody or anything else. I just knew, and I was just a high school student. This is not a good idea. This is before 9/11, not before terrorists. Terrorists have been around before the United States existed, But the other bus was I forget which bus that was. So I'm taking the Vine Street bus home, and I was the only one the only one from De La Salle that it was ever. The bus never picked up another, But on that other bus, there must have been getting on, 10 cadets or more, and I saw M1s being pointed out the window, and that was something. I wish I had writing ability, or that would be, but nobody would believe. You wouldn't believe that. The next day, after the Veterans Day Parade, when we got back to school, and put the M1s in the racks. The Christian Brothers were not happy. They got a lot of phone calls, and I don't think it was just from people, you know. I don't think it was just, uh, you know, somebody who happened to be riding the bus to work or something, rather. I think they probably got calls from police departments and the bus company, and I don't know who. They, brothers were not happy. Anyway, today's the first day of the hearing, and I cannot imagine I just can't imagine what these Capitol police officers went through, you know, being a police officer and having a mob, you know, assault you. Because, you know, because a police officer, you know, protecting one of the most sacred places in our, the Capitol of the United States, where Congress meets, where presidents make their State of the Union, you know, addresses, where, I mean, I just can't imagine, and then, you know, being humiliated and cursed and spit upon and beat, and to see the Confederate flag being paraded, you know, through the, you know, on the floor of the, you know, into the building, and then to be humiliated the way they were humiliated. You know, they had their orders, and of course, you know, they had their orders, and after all the training that they had, you know, they have, that they had, it was just this whole thing was. I watched a little bit of this. I think this black officer on the end. I watched a little bit of his statement, and I mean, just the whole, you know, the whole thing of, you know, you're there, this officer here on the end. You're there, you know. I think the only thing I don't think there can be anything worse, but the only thing worse would be, you know, at the tomb of the unknown soldier. You know, it's so ceremonial there, and if somebody steps over, you know, goes around the fence, if somebody steps on that area, you know, somebody behind the thing, or if there's talking or whatever, these, you know, military, you know, the military officer, or well, the ones marching are probably not officers, but the you know, people get yelled at or whatever, and here this mob of Americans break into the Capitol of the United States of America. They bring in a Confederate flag, a mega flag, into the Capitol. You know, the crowd is shouting, you know, to kill the Vice President of the United States. I mean, just, I'm trying to think if I have anything comparable. I was shot at when I left. I worked 30 years hospital security. At the first hospital I worked at, we had 2 officers shot. One permanently disabled, and he was traumatized. And the other officer, John Gallegos, was shot. He managed to shoot the other guy also. But John Gallegos was dead when he hit the ground. And then the hospital I went to work, actually I was already hired in at this other hospital, the second hospital. And a day or two before I was to start. The John Gallagher, no, oh, Lloyd Akins, midnight shift supervisor. He was shot. He was a few feet from the hospital. He lived a few blocks away, and he was walking, and he got shot. I just can't imagine what these officers have gone through. We've seen the video. I think we've seen the video. Maybe these insurrectionists Trump, I don't know what you call them except traitors. Maybe this doesn't affect them. I don't know how it couldn't, affect you, but I hope. I don't think you can do justice. I mean, I hope the people who are responsible for what happened on January 6th. Okay, this is the officer. I'm sorry. This is the one that I saw. I think he was the first speaker because I just tuned in a while ago. I just cannot imagine to be. I mean, they were out. The officers were outnumbered. There was. They were let down by their superiors. There's no shame to them, but I would feel. I mean, I just can't imagine how they must feel. I think people were beating them with the American flag. At least they were beating them with. I mean, and two, to go through the training that they've gone through. I'll tell you one thing that needs to be done, which I don't think will be done, but where is my mouse over here? One thing that needs to be done is Washington, D.C. needs to be made a state. It's already larger than I forget how many states. I heard one time, I think it's like 5 or 6 or 7 states. It's has more population and I think more land space maybe than Rhode Island or something. And the reason it needs to be made a state is because when this happened, the mayor, there was nothing the mayor could do. The mayor couldn't call up a National Guard. All he could do was request the Department of Defense, to call up the National Guard from the adjoining area. I don't know if that would be Virginia or where it would be, because it's. And if President Trump had known, President Trump is stupid, mentally ill, has severe problems, dumber than and it's unbelievable how dumb he is. If he had known, he would have called up, the Department of Defense and said, no, don't send the National Guard. And they'd have been in, he's commander in chief. They would have been, what do we do, So it needs to be that it needs to be a state. The District of Columbia needs to be our 51st state. And so that the governor, then there would be a governor, then the governor can place the National Guard there before something like this happens, or he can, immediately call up the National Guard and, have them what these officers are receiving is much training, as they do. And then not to be able, and to be, I shouldn't say humiliated, because they shouldn't be humiliated. They were courageous, they were, look at that, the mob, Anyway, the people who committed this treason, this insurrection, that's another thing. I think we need to change the treason law, because when I use the word, and I've mentioned this in the past, that's why I don't mention it now. When I say, something like, treason, in the past I used to, okay, I know it's not treason, because in order to be treason, the United States has to be at war with this other country, and then this person has to be, aiding in this other country. And so how many cases of treason, do we have? During World War II, yes, I'm sure there was. During the Korea, were there any cases of treason? No, we weren't at war when we were in Korea. It was a police action. The same with Vietnam. We were not at war. That's something that also needs to be changed. We need to go back to, but look, how could you do that when you have a Congress, the type of Congress you have, where you depend on, now of course the president, the commander-in-chief should always have, and does, would have if we're attacked or something happen, that he can take military action and then, then go to Congress. If he could take military action that he needs to take, and then go to Congress and ask for a declaration of war. But we need to change the treason law. And what these people did, who broke into the Capitol, that's treason. Taking the Confederate flag, through the Capitol of the United, using that those are all treasonous acts. And now I'm not saying that we should change the law and then charge these people. That's not something that a government should do or is allowed to do, is really allowed to. Well, I'm sure in some countries they do that, but no, I mean you can't go back and say, well, I don't like such and such, or I don't like this, so I'm going to make a law now that says what Jim Howard did back, in 1999 or something. If you do that, that's treason, and then we can, no, you can't go make a law, but from now on, the things should be changed, and this type of action, people doing something like this, that should be treason. And I'm opposed to the death penalty. I've always been opposed to the death penalty. But to desecrate I just, make it treason, and leave on the books the thing for if you're going to have if we're going to have the death penalty, which I don't think we should. But if we're going to have the death penalty, leave it on the books, say for treason, death. But then don't sentence any of these people, to death. I just hope that the I just hope that the people who now I'm not the people who went in the people who smashed in the windows, the people who attacked in every state in the Union, all 50 states, I guarantee you that if you attack a police officer, that is a felony, and it's a serious felony. If you get into an argument with your neighbor next door, and you guys get into a fight, and one or both of you, you're charged, you go to court, and it's, you assaulted your neighbor. Okay, that, if you punch, gouge his eyes out or something, but generally, it's like, okay, don't do that again, it'll be such and such a fine or whatever. If you assault, all 50 states, if you assault a police officer, that's a serious offense. The police represents the government, the flag, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. And if somebody will assault a police officer, who won't they assault? And so I'm going to listen just a little bit of this. Let's see.
Appeal to just the good in people. And that's what we want to see, whether we disagree with how they vote on a bill about infrastructure. Everybody wants the right thing, people to do okay.
I don't want to listen to this. I just want this to be resolved. And I'm tired of hearing the Republicans. That makes it so much worse that they can just makes it worse that they can't. Okay, well, we made a mistake. We elected the wrong guy. These Republicans, shouldn't have gone in. They shouldn't have taken the Confederate flag in. They shouldn't have smashed this. They shouldn't have been hollering they wanted to kill the Vice President of the United States, a Republican, by the way. But yeah, I don't want to. I'm not going to watch this. But it's on the television and I think I guess I should check it. I think on CNN that there was something I think that was said that the Republicans were going to they were going to do something, not try, that they were going to try to have something else on. So I guess Fox News probably will not be covering this hearing, or if they do, they'll break away, and they'll just come back when they think. What can they come up with that would be? There isn't going to be any good news for something for them to. Let's see if I can find the thing that said that the Republicans were going to. Let's see, committee hearing on January 6th, Capitol riot, new footage of Capitol riot shown during insurrection hearing. Representative Cheney's opening statement before the committee. Let's see, fact check. Some Republicans have tried to rewrite the history of January 6th. Here's how. Disgraceful. Capitol officer confronts lawmakers downplaying the riot. Republicans attempt to undermine and distract from the first 1-6 Select Committee hearing. Let's see. Let's see. Capital, here we go, let's get away from this. Capital soup cans get first redesign in 50 years. Ashton Kirchner and Mila Kunis say they don't believe in bathing their kids or themselves too much. I don't know who those people are. The Simpsons is doing a coming up. They're going to have one entire episode. They've never done it before. One entire episode is going to be. It's all going to be musical. It's going to be a musical. Staff at a Florida hospital say they are hearing panic, fear, and regret from unvaccinated COVID-19 patients. Reality check, something new, I guess, that CNN is doing that, which is fine. Yes, vaccine mandates are constitutional. Anyway, I guess that's it for now. Whoops. Let me bring my. Oh my God! I'm depriving you of the joy of seeing me. Let me bring this back up before I say thank you very much for watching. Please give a thumbs up. Please subscribe. I don't know. Well, what else? Please use my Amazon link. Thank you very much for watching.